athletes with the weirdest careers, Manti Te'o. Yes, you know the infamous catfishing of Manti Te'o, but I think we forget just how good of a football player he was and also how big the scandal was. Te'o was and still is one of the highest rated recruits ever and probably the greatest Hawaiian prospect of all time. Recruited by over 30 schools, Te'o surprised a lot of people when he chose Notre Dame over schools like USC and BYU, who have a long-standing history with Samoan players. Manti Te'o was an immediate impact player his freshman and sophomore year. Te'o got even better his junior year and was a finalist for the Butkus Award, but his senior year, he had one of the best college linebacker seasons ever. Notre Dame and their defense had an amazing season, captained by Manti Te'o. They were 12-0 going into the national championship game. Te'o won pretty much every defensive award and was the runner-up in the Heisman to Johnny Manziel. And he was seen as this hero in America, not only because he was an amazing football player, but because his girlfriend, who had been battling leukemia, died in a car accident. And this, of course, was a recurring, triumphant side story throughout this heroic, incredible season at Notre Dame. And we don't have to get too much into this scandal because honestly, it's still kind of confusing and the story's been everywhere. The very abbreviated spark notes are that he had an online girlfriend who turned out to be a guy catfishing him, and he discovered this just a few weeks left in his senior season. And this is the most important thing, right? The timing of it all. Te'o got a call from his quote-unquote dead girlfriend on December 6th, but continued to talk about her being dead in interviews and didn't say anything to Notre Dame until December 26th. Of course, it clearly impacted his play at Notre Dame, and they got rocked by Bama in the national championship. But then the hoax came out to the public basically right after the Nat. This story was beyond sports media. It was the front page of every newspaper. It was a Linsanity, Deflategate level story. You had Manti Te'o going on Dr. Phil and Katie Couric telling his side of the story. Now, mind you, Te'o is still going to the NFL as a big prospect. No one really understands the story, but it's impacting his draft stock. He was 100% going to be like a mid-first round pick, but he fell to the second round and is drafted by the Chargers. Te'o missed his entire rookie preseason with an injury, but was still a solid player for the Chargers, and that's kind of the story of his NFL career that gets overlooked. He was so injury plagued. Every year at the Chargers, he showed some promise, but he had a different bad lower body injury. So after 4 years in San Diego, he signs with the Saints and probably has his best year as a pro. He finally plays all 16 games and is a comeback player of the year nominee. But more knee injuries come along and he couldn't stay on the field. And after a stint with the Bears practice squad, he retired. And while Manti Te'o will always be tied to and remembered by this hoax story, we should never forget that he was one of the best high school and college football defensive players ever. Injuries really stopped him from having what could have been a great NFL career too.